Welcome to The Transfer. This is where we explore having conversations with business leaders who are driving change and innovation in their industries. And today we are talking automotive. So I'm so excited to have a great conversation with a leader who has not only built a really successful dealership and is also integrating some really cool AI tools, but has also built a really strong online reputation as well. So if you could welcome Mr. Vince Pavone, who joins me from Lakeview Ford. Vince, can you do a quick introduction?
Well, thanks for having me, Carolyn. I really appreciate it. I am a Ford Lincoln dealer in Battle Creek, Michigan, and I've been here for 15 years. We're actually celebrating our 15-year anniversary. I'd worked at a Chevy store, VW, Toyota group, and had multiple experiences in used cars, new car sales, management. And we came over to the store and it had basically been struggling. It struggled for many, many years. Ford had had dealer development folks in here a couple of different times. The previous dealer to our purchase had struggled for some time, and we were trying to figure out the formula because all the metrics said that this should be a solid Ford point and the numbers should be a lot better. Basically, it seemed pretty obvious to me that the previous people who had run the Ford store in Battle Creek hadn't lived here. Yeah, they had attempted to do it, like large metro stores where put out the advertising, get a huge inventory and let it run itself. And it hadn't worked out. So we had a different philosophy and actually had been similar to the philosophy that my father-in-law had in Rochester, Michigan in 1967, which was the old school dealer, being part of the community, going to the Rotary Club, which was one of the reasons that I visited when I came in, being very involved in the university, very involved in the hospital. Here, we've been very involved with United Way and the hospital here as well, and some economic development, and also in Kalamazoo, KIA, and the Gilmore Keyboard Festival. So there's a lot of things that we got involved with, and it was pretty much that we decided the way to do business in a small Midwest town was to live here and be part of the community, and that was a simple mantra. That's why our little slogan is "Community Matters," and that's been kind of our North Star for 15 years, and it's worked out well.
Now, how do you think that's translated to actually when you're servicing a customer, when you are trying to sell them a vehicle? How does that kind of local connection philosophy translate into your like secret sales sauce?
Yeah, it's funny because I think a lot of people when we first arrived into town thought that our strategy was maybe not genuine. And over time, I think we developed the trust with the consumer and the trust with our customers, our former customers, new customers, and brought a lot of people back. And I think that the way we behaved and did business, which was as a neighbor, as a community member, and treating people that way, not only, trying to be involved in the community, but treating us as community members. I think that permeated the organization and as I said, became something that was very genuine and has given us our secret sauce, so to speak.
And when you think about growth of your business over time, has it really been, referrals? Is it a lot of, hey, I went over to Lakeview Ford, you should check it out too the next time you have a car? What's that kind of like growth process look like as your
that's a really good question. I think that over time there's a certain number of customers that you have that are based on who networking and where you live, where you do business, where you golf, where you recreate. So there's that natural inertia of living here that gives that kind of momentum. But to get across the finish line and in terms of growth, you have to be in lockstep with your manufacturer. But the product offerings have been fantastic, and we've been able to utilize those products to be able to service the needs of our community in terms of transportation. So That's been good. So I think it's a combination of, as you said, of the networking, of being part of the community so that you do have those referrals, but also we call it the wave. Okay. And the wave is when you got a really good car at a really good price, people will find you. That's the value proposition is there. And sometimes you don't have the same value proposition year to year or even month to month. Okay.
Yeah.
But when it's there, it can be a real boon. Again, as our growth, I give Ford a lot of credit in their products and their offerings, and also our staff and the community and the reputation that we've developed here in Battle Creek and Calhoun
So it sounds
County.
like you're not having to go out and work too hard from like an advertising marketing standpoint to go get them if you've got Ford innovating.
I mean, that's a fair comment. I think that if you look at any of our television ads, there's not a price in them. Okay, it's about the community and it's about what we try and do, and it's a feeling. And our radio ads, we do offer. We try and communicate when there is a value proposition. We want to make sure, and those can change fairly quickly. We want to make sure that people know about it. But I think that our strategy has been probably from more of a marketing plan than a sales strategy. And as you know, we have our own community podcast that we utilize to get the word out of different things that are going on in the community. But we support it, we promote it, but we don't necessarily use it to drive traffic. It's really just to prop up the community in a way that I see fit, that is a benefit. So
now makes sense. So as you kind of reflected back on the last 15 years, what are some of the things now that you're focused on as you work to build the next 15, right? The next 15, the next 30?
Well, that's another great question. Ford is building a battery plant 10 miles from the front of our store in Marshall, Michigan. Going to employ 1,700 jobs. And those 1,700 people, in all likelihood are going to drive Ford products because they'll have the Ford plans. And then the other people in their household will. So not only for me as a Ford dealer and other Ford dealers in the area, but for the area in a whole, this is an economic driver that's going to really benefit Calhoun County. And Calhoun County's got about 150,000 people in it. Battle Creek's got about 50,000 people in it, and there's about 30 Ford dealers. No, I'm kidding. But there's too many.
You're like, I'd love it if there were less, maybe just one.
But for all intents and purposes, that is going to be the next big economic driver for this store and for this area and this community for the next 5 to 10 years. I was very involved with working with Ford lobbying group in Washington, D.C., talking to the Michigan congressional delegation about some of the legislation that was in the Big Beautiful Bill, the One Big Beautiful Bill, as it related to production tax credits. There was a lot of things that we had to do to make sure people understood this project, understood the structure of the project, understood the benefits for the community of the project, and the benefits for Ford Motor Company, frankly. And that's what gives us our longevity. It's not real. And Bill Ford said it at the Mackinac conference in June up in Mackinac, Michigan. He said there's political cycles and there's product life cycles, and sometimes they don't always align. So I think that some of the manufacturers are getting back to looking at producing an EV that's affordable, that makes sense, is really the direction we're going to go. And the other thing is, the market artificially was never going to get to 30% because of the infrastructure, because of the cost, because of the offering. But 10% is a pretty big number. I believe, based on, I think it's 8% of the market now, and I believe we'll slowly see a climb to 10% in the next 18 months or so. And from there, as infrastructure comes along, as battery range becomes longer, you're going to see people who will adopt to the technology. There's no question about it.
Well, it sounds like this, next chapter has all been pushed by a very strong vision that you've had with your dealership, the community. So I know Lakeview Ford recently made a very, I'd say, important strategic decision to start to invest in some new AI technology. I believe Could you tell us a little bit about what Matador is and what were the kind of opportunities you saw that it could bring to the operations or the service side of your business? I'd love to unpack that a bit.
Well, I have a very young sales manager who I don't even think he's 30 yet. But he started with me when he was 18 years old and sold cars for us. And he's been rattling my cage. He goes, AI is it. AI is it. We got to get involved. We got to get involved. So I'm like, okay. So the first tool we used was an add-on. It was a Cox tool called Predictive Insights.
Yep.
And what Predictive Insights did was it took your customers and it looked out over all of the Cox sites that were out there and it looked what your customers were doing in terms of searching. So every day you would have an active dashboard of what your customers were doing. And I said, well, that's great. And then at some
What are we doing with it? One of
Well,
those.
at that point, and that what it was it was an add-on for our traditional BDC department.
Okay.
And our traditional BDC department was set up to handle incoming internet leads, to handle incoming phone calls. But at the end of the day, we want to see how many cars we sold. And we look at
Yeah.
the budget and evaluate the budget. So anyway, we had a traditional BDC that had these incoming leads, and if you get 100 leads, you should be able to contact 50 customers. You contact 50 customers, you should be able to make 25 appointments. And if you make 25 appointments, you should sell 12 cars. If you look at it, we weren't hitting those numbers the way that we wanted to. So you have incoming phone calls, you have incoming leads, and then there's the whole follow-up piece. And I looked at the department with my sales manager and said, we're not doing this right. So anyway, this last iteration, we interviewed, I think, 3 or 4 different AI lead handlers, we'll call it. And I told you the story. Somebody for part of a demo said, listen, we're going to put your name in there and you're going to get the follow up on your text messages.
Okay.
So I got to tell you, it was unbelievable. The articulation, the intelligence, the questions, the persistence, the follow up. I mean, and to finally turn it off, I just told the text message person, I bought a car. I said, I'm
You're
going to buy a
good, but
car.
I'm good.
And they said, okay. And then it stopped. Okay. But I was so impressed with how far we have come. Similarly, when I was trying to analyze these tools, I was trying to find out, what I thought. And honestly, we looked at 4 different models. Matador seemingly was the most robust. Okay. Other models had tried different, but it does have some unique things as far as handling leads, the responsiveness, the offering alternatives, getting information in a timely fashion. Anyway, I was just so impressed with the lead handling, okay, and the intelligent handling, and then also the way that they would hand off to a manager or a salesperson, depending on some of
Yeah,
that they
makes sense.
potentially couldn't answer. That I was sold, okay, and I took a personal interest in the onboarding. We wanted a lot of different information about our website and about our Google Analytics and about our budgets and everything. I took a personal interest in this onboarding. And not only do I feel like, and again, I we'll have to circle back with me after our 3rd month about what our numbers look like if we're meeting those metrics.
Mhm.
But so far, so good. We seemingly are getting a lot more appointments, which means, appointments is everything in the car business, okay? Because you want to get them in. You can't sell a car over text. You can't sell a car over the phone. You have to get them in. But what we've found is, getting back to the lead handling, is that we were okay in handling the incoming leads, but we were not okay at the follow-up going out back 30 days, 60 days, and
Yep.
90 days. We were terrible at that.
The
Okay.
nurturing of that lead, right? Yep.
And exactly. And pretty much everybody's bad at it. Okay. When it comes right down to it, one of the things that we actually also brought on a new marketing company that has some experience in SEO and SEM, and they do a
Smart.
mystery shop for us once a month. And they also say, well, we'll mystery shop one of your competitors every month. So we got this. We actually had a meeting last Friday, and they said, this is your how you're answering your leads so far. And I'm looking at it because all the leads are answered by Matador. And I said, well, that's pretty good. We made some improvements. Then they said, well, this is how your competitor that we identified in the market's handling it, and it was all red.
Well, that's good.
I said, I feel a lot better about myself. So
Like, I'm happy to be average if
I'm happy to be average feels. Yeah. What did they say about good and great? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm feeling great. Okay.
Yeah.
So so anyway, it's slowly begun, and now we started, Carolyn. We really have started in sales. And
Okay.
we're going to do this in sales for a few more months before we bring on service. Okay. I think that
Your guinea pig.
the guinea pig and the where we sell 75 to 100 cars a month, we have 800 repair orders a month. So if we can do this right first,
Yeah, that'll be a
then
game changer.
we can scale for service.
Well, how many months are you into the Matador journey on the sales side?
This is our second month.
Okay, so it is early
Okay.
days. Yeah, we'll
It's
definitely.
really early. It's really early, and we are. I mean, you got to crawl before you walk, and we feel like. And interestingly, we have brought in a BDC person who did not have any experience in the business, and we're just trying to get her into a mindset so that she's complete, doesn't have any previous notions of how to sell a car, doesn't have any previous notions. So it's a clean slate, and we can do things and modify things. And I think that's been beneficial. So I really wanted her to grow with the product. Okay. And not have anybody else, salespeople or managers, have any preconceived notions, so we can see where we can take it.
That I love that you shared that. That's such an interesting take. I am going to hold you on your offer of coming back around and checking in on how it's going, especially as you kind of get ready to embark on the service side of things, right? Because customers don't think about those things until they have like the immediate need, right? So if you can be helping them proactively manage that, that is going to be a game changer. And then the follow-up, hey, we've got your car, it's checked in. Hey, it's almost done. Come back and pick it up. Like that customer experience kind of enabled through technology is going to be, I think that's
and
so
we're
interesting
we'd
to
like
hear
to
that
use it for
story.
the body shop too when we're done with that. Move it over to the body shop. Because those guys they do the best they can, but when they're busy and they're in the line of fire, sometimes they forget. Hey, your car's like, to your point, your car's ready. Your car's going to be an hour late, or this or that or the other thing. So we think.
How do you let them focus on doing what they're good at, which is the work, and then use the technology to enable some of that, customer follow-up and things like what can you automate, right? That's a bit of that's where I think there's power in these, right? You don't ever lose the human component of what you do. It's how do we get people focusing on the things that matter more for your business, right? And that's making sure they're conveying what happened to the customer. They understand it. It's kind of a nice way.
Well, yeah, and for a long time, our strategy was to use the BDC as a training tool for salespeople.
Mm-hmm.
So people felt comfortable talking to customers on the phone. They would become familiar with the inventory, and that, I mean, it sounded good on paper, okay, but it was, finding people who want to do that type of work, who are articulate and smart and have all the computer savvy, and it's very difficult. It's very difficult. That's why you had to break the mold and get somebody completely different. Okay, and change that job to make it more of a tech job than a phone bank type job.
Is making it to the other side now as I'm talking to someone, shaking someone's hand about where I'm at on my car buying journey.
100%.
I love that you've kind of looked outside of automotive, because I think kind of an AI first mindset is something that's new for us, right? Like all of this has really been a lot of transformation very quickly in just the last few years, right?
It's actually overwhelming. It's actually overwhelming. Aside from Matador, I use Grok. I think my staff has ChatGPT. So we're running a lot of our new ads for want ads. If you call them that, we run a lot of that now through AI to not only to edit, but to be a little bit more aggressive or creative so that it stands out, and it's worked for for our techs, okay, and it's also worked for salespeople. So the technology keeps coming. It just keeps coming.
Well, I love that it's coming and enabling your business in another way. So these kind of real world examples and stories I think are really important in this kind of moment we're at where we've gotten into some really great specific topics, but there's kind of taking a broader view. What are the trends that you're either most excited for happening in your industry or maybe a little bit concerned for, right? As you look to the future, not to be ominous, but
Well, one of my concerns about the future is I think we still have to have that personal relationship. You know, the whole reason for Starbucks was to be the third place, right? Homework and Starbucks, okay? And then
yep.
the CEO of Starbucks came out with the best app for getting your Starbucks. Okay, you do it online. There's AI associated with it. You walk in, you grab your food, and you leave. And
Yep.
that was a double-edged sword. Okay, and the double-edged sword was you're losing that place. Okay, you're losing that was the place that you would go to hang out, work on your laptop. It turned it from a place into a drink,
Yeah.
place to go get coffee or a drink. And that's not how it was. So for me, for the dealership, it's the same thing. We love to do mobile service
Mhm.
and we love to do pickup and delivery, but sometimes that customer who does have time wants to come in, have a donut and drink coffee and talk to the service advisor about cars.
Mhm.
So we don't want to lose that personal contact with our customers. And in the sales department, as we become more and more adept, there's going to be AI tools that are going to allow the customer to go on and simplify that ordering experience. So we want that customer to come in and have that personal relationship with the sales manager, with the salesman. So the only thing as I see, I mean, to your point earlier, I mean, the technology is coming and it's coming fast. Well, we can't lose that person. You can't send an AI guy out to the grand opening of the local college. We have to continue to figure out ways to be humane and have humanity and have those interpersonal conversations and connections. And that's the only thing that concerns me a little bit as I see the future.
And I think you're so right about, there can be a digital component of your business that is absolutely key, but there is always going to be a piece where people want to come in, they want to see it, they want to drive it, they want a human to talk to when it's not working because it is a huge purchase that customers make, right? When you think about some of the most expensive things you buy, a vehicle is really in that top three, right? So it's what enables people to live their lives and go places. So there's an importance to it that I think like you never want to lose the humanity in that experience.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, you can even look at the Carvana experience. There's some areas that's been, very popular and people have embraced, and those areas aren't going to embrace that the same. They're different, okay? And there's a place for all of it. There's a place for all of it. But we're just going to carve out our little niche and continue to take care of our community and our customers and move forward.
I love that. Well, Vince, thank you so much. This has been really insightful. I'd love to hear about how you're balancing the innovation side of things. I think it's inspiring. It's going to be helpful for others to hear those real world examples. So thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you, Carolyn.
And for those who are watching, thank you so much for tuning into The Transfer. Be sure to check out Lakeview Ford at shoplakeviewford.com. Maybe play with the chatbot or the sales agent that's on the site. Thank you so much for joining us.